The symbolism of the tarot. Part 1. In occult or symbolic literature, that is to say literature based upon the recognition of hidden knowledge, there is one phenomenon of great interest. This is the tarot. The tarot is a pack of cards that is still used in southern Europe for card playing and fortune-telling today. It differs little from ordinary playing cards that are a reduced tarot pack. It has the same kings, queens, aces, tens and so on. Tarot cards have been known since the end of the 14th century when they already existed amongst Spanish gypsies. They were the first cards that appeared in Europe. There are several versions of the tarot, consisting of different numbers of cards. It is considered that the most exact reproduction of the oldest tarot is the so-called Tarot of Marseilles. This pack consists of 78 cards. Of these 52 are ordinary playing cards with the addition of one picture card in each suite, named the Knight, which is placed between the Queen and the Knave. This makes 56 cards divided into 4 suites, 2 black and 2 red, named as follows: Wands, clubs, cups, hearts, swords, spades, and pentacles or discs, diamonds. There are in addition 22 numbered cards with special names that are outside the 4 suites. The pack of tarot cards, according to legend, represents an Egyptian hieroglyphic book, consisting of 78 tablets that have come down to us in a miraculous manner. It is known that in the Library of Alexandria, aside from papyri and parchments, there were many such books, consisting often of a great number of clay or wooden tablets. With regard to the further history of the tarot cards, it has been said that in the beginning they were medallions stamped with designs and numbers, later metallic plates, then leather cards and finally paper cards. Outwardly the tarot is a pack of cards, but in its inner meaning it is something altogether different. It is a book of philosophical and psychological content that may be read in many different ways. We can offer an example of a philosophical interpretation of the whole idea or general content of the Book of the Tarot, its metaphysical title as it were, that will show that this book could not have been devised by the illiterate gypsies of the 14th century. The tarot is divided into 3 parts. First part. 21 numbered cards, from 1 to 21. Second part. 1 card numbered 0. Third part. 56 cards, i.e. 4 suits of 14 cards each. The second part is a link between the first and the third, because all the 56 cards of the third put together are considered equal to the card numbered 0. This is explained by the French philosopher and mystic of the 18th century, Saint Martin, in a publication titled, The Unknown Philosopher, his principal book, Natural Table of the Relationships that Exist Between God, Man, and the Universe. The book consists of 22 chapters representing commentaries on the 22 principal tarot cards. Let us imagine the 21 cards of the first part laid out in the form of a triangle, with 7 cards to each side, in the center of the triangle a point represented by the 0, the second part, and the triangle enclosed in a square consisting of the 56 cards, the third part, 14 to each side of the square. Now we have a metaphysical relationship between God, man, and the universe. Or between 1. The noumenal world, the objective world. 2. The psychic world of man, and 3. The phenomenal world, or subjective world, i.e. the physical world. The triangle represents God, the Trinity or the noumenal world. The square, for elements, is the visible, physical or phenomenal world. The point is the soul of man, and both worlds are reflected in man's soul. The square is equal to the point. This means that all the visible world is contained in the consciousness of man, that is to say is created in the soul of man and is his representation. And the soul of man is a point having no dimension in the center of the triangle of the objective world. It is clear that such an idea could not have appeared among ignorant people. Then it is clear that the tarot is more than a pack of fortune-telling and playing cards. It is possible to express the idea of the tarot also in the form of a triangle in which is enclosed a square, the material universe in which is enclosed a point, man. It is interesting here to try to determine the aim, purpose, and application of the Book of the Tarot. First, it is necessary to observe that the tarot is a philosophical machine that in its meaning and possible application has much in common with the philosophical machines that the philosophers of the Middle Ages sought and tried to invent. There is a hypothesis according to which the invention of the tarot is attributed to Raymond Lully, a philosopher and alchemist of the 13th century. The author of many mystical and occult books who actually put forward in his Ars Magna a scheme of a philosophical machine. With the help of this machine it was possible to put questions and receive answers to them. The machine consisted of concentric circles with words designating the ideas of different worlds arranged on them in a certain order. When certain words were put in a definite position one in relation to the other for the formation of a question, then other words gave the answer. The tarot has a great deal in common with this machine. In its purpose it is a kind of philosophical abacus. It offers the possibility of setting out in different graphic forms, like the above-mentioned triangle, point, and square, ideas that are difficult, if not impossible to put into words. It is an instrument of the mind, an instrument that can serve for training mental capacity and so on. It is an appliance for exercising the intellect, for accustoming it to new and wider concepts, to thinking in a world of higher dimensions, and to the understanding of symbols. The system of the tarot in its deeper, wider, and more varied sense stands in the same relation to metaphysics and mysticism as a system of notation, decimal or other stands in relation to mathematics. The tarot may be only an attempt to create such a system, but even the attempt is interesting. In order to become acquainted with the tarot it is necessary to be familiar with the ideas of the Kabbalah, alchemy, magic and astrology. According to the very probable opinion of several commentators on the tarot, it is a synopsis of the Hermetic sciences with their various subdivisions, or an attempt at such a synopsis. All these sciences constitute a single system of the psychological study of man in his relations to the world of noumena, to God, to the world of spirit, and to the world of phenomena, the visible physical world. The letters of the Hebrew alphabet and the various allegories of the Kabbalah, the names of metals, acids, and salts in alchemy, the names of planets and constellations in astrology, the names of good and evil spirits in magic, all these were but conventional hidden language for psychological ideas. Open study of psychology, particularly in its wider sense, was impossible. Torture, mutilation, and the stake awaited investigators. If we look still further into past ages, we shall find still more fear of all attempts to study man. How was it possible amidst all the darkness, ignorance, and superstition of those times to speak and act openly? The unfettered study of psychology is under suspicion even in our time, which is considered enlightened. The true sense of Hermetic sciences was therefore hidden beneath the symbols of alchemy, astrology, and the Kabbalah. Of these, alchemy took as its outer aim the preparation of gold, or the discovery of the elixir of life. Astrology and the Kabbalah, divination, and magic, the subjugation of spirits. But when the true alchemists spoke of the search for gold, they spoke of the search for gold in the soul of man. And when they spoke of the elixir of life, they spoke of the search for eternal life and the ways to immortality. In these cases they called gold what in the Gospels is called the kingdom of heaven and in what Buddhism is called nibbana. When the true astrologers spoke of constellations and planets, they spoke of the constellations and planets in the soul of man, i.e. the properties of the human soul and its relations to God and the physical world. When the true Kabbalists spoke of the name of God they searched for this name in the soul of man and in nature, and not in dead books, not in the biblical text, as did the scholastic Kabbalists. When the true magicians spoke of the subjugation of spirits, elementals, and the like to the will of man, they understood by this the subjugation to one single will of the different eyes of man, his different desires and tendencies. The Kabbalah, alchemy, astrology, and magic are parallel symbolical systems of psychology and metaphysics. Oswald Wirth speaks in a very interesting way about alchemy in one of his books, The Laying On of Hands and Philosopher's Medicine, published 1897 in Paris, edited by Chamel, see pages 146 and 147. Quote, alchemy in reality studies metaphysical metallurgy, i.e. the operations that nature works in living beings. The deepest science of life was hidden under strange symbols. But such immense ideas would burst brains that were too narrow. Not all alchemists were geniuses. Greed attracted to alchemy those who were looking for gold, who were alien to any esotericism. They understood everything literally, and their follies often knew no bounds. From this fantastic kitchen of vulgar charlatans came modern chemistry. But true philosophers, worthy of the name, lovers, or friends of wisdom, carefully separated the fine from the coarse with caution and foresight, as was required by the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus. I.e., they rejected the meaning belonging to the dead letter and left for themselves only the inner spirit of the doctrine. In our time we confound the wise with the foolish and reject entirely all that does not bear the official seal. End quote. The study of the name of God in its manifestations constitutes the basis of the Kabbalah. Jehovah is spelt in Hebrew with 4 letters, Yod, He, Vau and He. These 4 letters have been given a symbolic meaning. The first letter expresses the active principle, initiative. The second, the passive principle, inertia. The third, equilibrium, form. And the fourth, resultant or latent energy. The Kabbalists affirm that every phenomenon and every object consist of these 4 principles, i.e. that every object and every phenomenon consist of the divine name. The study of this name, in Greek the tetragrammaton or the word of 4 letters, and the finding of it in everything constitute the chief aim of Kabbalist philosophy. What is the real meaning of this? According to Kabbalists, the 4 principles permeate and compose each and everything. Therefore, by finding these 4 principles in things and phenomena of quite different categories between which he had previously seen nothing in common, a man begins to see the analogy between these things. Gradually he becomes convinced that everything in the world is constructed according to the same laws, according to the same plan. From a certain point of view, the enriching of the intellect and its growth consist of the widening of its capacities for finding analogies. The study of the law of the 4 letters, or the name of Jehovah, can therefore constitute a means for widening consciousness. The idea is quite clear. If the name of God is really in everything, if God is present in everything, then everything should be analogous with everything else, the smallest part should be analogous to the whole, the speck of dust analogous to the universe and analogous to God. As above, so below.